Hello, drama lovers, welcome to my Young and the Restless official channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we dive into today's content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show some love by giving this video a like up. According to spoilers for the week of March 17 to 21 on the Young and the Restless, Tracy Abbott will experience terror while Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers will gain freedom. Here's what Y&R fans should anticipate. Billy Abbott and Nick Newman will also become heroes. Phyllis and Sharon will be concerned that they might not survive their ordeal of being kidnapped as the walls close in on them. Phyllis and Sharon will find themselves in a dire situation and worry that they will lose the game and hence their lives. Fortunately, after Nick and Billy arrive at Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic, Phyllis and Sharon will have some assistance. In order to make sure Sharon and Phyllis escape safely, Billy and Nick need work together since they are next in line for some collaboration. Nick and Billy will undoubtedly gain the appreciation of Phyllis and Sharon after they successfully complete this rescue. Sharon would undoubtedly jump into Nick's arms for a reassuring hug, and Phyllis might do the same with Billy after he delivers on her. Naturally, depending on how far Y&R wants to push these intimate moments, there may be some unexpected kisses. Would Sharon be able to kiss Nick as Phyllis kisses Billy? After the pandemonium of imprisonment, we wouldn't blame Phyllis and Sharon for losing their temper. But at least there will be a few sighs of relief and hugs. They will all be relieved when this kidnapping drama is over because Phyllis and Sharon will finally be reunited with the rest of their loved ones. Martin Laurent appears to be on the verge of being exposed as the mastermind behind the chaos surrounding Sharon and Phyllis kidnapping. Therefore, Martin should also be held accountable for impersonating Alan Laurent, his twin brother. When Tracy discovers that Alan is actually Martin, who survived his fall in Paris and retook Alan's life, she will experience some horror and heartache. Tracy will undoubtedly require her family's support as she receives updates on this concerning information. After Phyllis is saved, Claire Newman could expect that Summer Newman will back off from Kyle Abbott. Claire may believe that once Kyle is free from having to feel sorry for his ex, he may set more stringent rules. Regretfully, Summer might not be finished scheming to ruin Kyle and Claire's relationship just yet. Summer might employ several tactics to go beyond the limit, at least until Kyle is prepared to stand up and say that enough is enough. In any event, Claire might offer some encouraging forecasts for Kyle's future, but Summer may be posing further challenges. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, there will be some major surprises over the week of March 17 to 21. According to the March 24 recap of The Young and the Restless, Tracy Abbott looks at Alan Laurent, also known as Martin Laurent's phone, while Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers are saved from deadly gas. Phyllis and Sharon will relish the cathartic experience of completely destroying the place while they are in prison. The camera that has been watching them will also be located by Sharon and Phyllis, who will turn it off and wait for the kidnapper to arrive. Sharon and Phyllis will prepare by the door, but one of the burner phones will then receive a message. After criticizing Sharon and Phyllis for their lack of sportsmanship, it will declare that they have lost the match. Toxic gas will soon be pumped into the room, so Phyllis will locate the leak and make a desperate attempt to stop it. As the rescue crew approaches, Phyllis won't make it and will be about to faint. Chance Chancellor will prevent Nick Newman and Billy Abbott from breaking in outside Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic because he wants to wait for the landlord. The landlord will say that there has been no interest in the property and that it has been abandoned for years when he shows up on Friday's episode of Y&R. The landlord will recognize someone must have changed the lock though, because his key will not work. Chance will enter first with a few officers after he eventually opens the lock. Since Billy and Nick will be close behind, they will all discover a single locked door and determine that it is most likely where Phyllis and Sharon are being imprisoned. Nick will burst down the door and embrace Sharon after she calls out to him and hears his voice. In addition, Billy will support Phyllis while she struggles to maintain consciousness after the gas leak. Phyllis and Sharon will be cleared to return home after several EMs check them out off-screen. At the Newman Ranch, Sharon and Phyllis will ultimately tell Nick, Billy, and Chance about their entire experience. There will be worries that the sick person who created this perverse game is still at large. Phyllis will make a frightened forecast and want to find them before they strike again because the kidnapper might not have intended for the rescue to occur. Tracy will hear another notification on Alan, also known as Martin's phone, while she is in a suite at the GCAC. Tracy will appear perplexed when she peeks and finds a notification regarding a security breach at the clinic. According to previews for The Young and the Restless, Tracy will soon receive updates on some startling news, so tune in. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, the countdown to Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers' adultery may be underway. Will Sally Spectra always experience the agony of betrayal? Fans of I and R will remember how Adam tried to gaslight Sally after taking Chelsea Lawson to bed in Baltimore. Sally kept pressuring Adam to admit that he had slept with Chelsea because she could sense that something was wrong. Sadly, Adam tried to convince Sally that she was mistaken and instead lied to her. Naturally, that plan didn't work out well because the truth was revealed somehow. And now Adam and Chelsea are back together while Sally is moving on with Billy. Even though Sally initially maintained her distance from Billy, it seems like she is now falling deeply for him. Will Billy's developing relationship with Phyllis interfere with Sally's vision of a bright future with him? Sally was able to observe firsthand how much Billy still cares for her because his concern for Phyllis was clear throughout the kidnapping plot. Billy will have more chances to interact with Phyllis now that she is free and prepared to start working at Abbott Communications. One of those chances really occurs in the episode that airs on March 17, when Billy begs Phyllis's forgiveness for excluding her from the press release since he assumed the worst of her. There are also intimate moments between these ex-partners since Phyllis does forgive Billy and gives him a hug for saving her life. Given that she still remembers the love dream she had prior to being kidnapped, Phyllis' abduction story may mark a turning point in her relationship with Billy. Phyllis has good reason to cling to her ex-boyfriend as a lifeline at this moment, given that dream and Billy's recent heroics. Billy will appeal to Phyllis' comfort and be seen as something familiar that she can cling to after the way things have recently gotten out of hand. Billy and Phyllis will become closer the more time they work together on Abbott Communications. Will that ultimately be bad news for Sally? Will Sally feel completely deceived if Billy cheats on her? At the very least, Billy might kiss Phyllis or even sleep with her. If Sally finds herself the odd woman out while her man cheats with an ex again, she might experience déjà vu. To put it another way, Billy's behavior might operate as a stark reminder of what Adam did, causing Sally to experience even greater heartache. Stay in for updates on any love setbacks, as spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that Billy might struggle to fulfill any promises and forecasts he makes to Sally. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, the Aristotle Dumas plot may take another unexpected turn. This reticent billionaire, whose photograph isn't even on the internet, has been shrouded in mystery. Naturally, it seems that Aristotle Dumas is a chosen name rather than one he was given at birth. The Dumas passage was undoubtedly chosen as a tribute to the Count of Monte Cristo author Alexander Dumas. Maybe Aristotle, or whoever his given first name is, became close to Damien Kane because they both loved their book. Aristotle may have chosen to include Damien in his organization and allow him to manage a few businesses for that reason. Victor and Aristotle had a history together because they used to compete for business. But Aristotle would always end up going out of business. But it's important to remember that Victor already acknowledged that he had never met Aristotle in person. Aristotle's disappearance was more of a case of him simply ceasing to compete. In an attempt to distance himself from the drama, this mysterious figure would strike and then disappear. The intriguing aspect is that they continue to emphasize how no one is aware of Aristotle's appearance. That offers two possibilities. both of which might have to do with Billy Flynn's impending debut. Fans of Y and R are clearly being led to believe that Aristotle is older, or at least mature enough, to go up against Victor in a real competition. What if the irony is that Aristotle has maintained a low profile in part because he is decades younger? Billy Flynn may have invented this enigmatic persona to ensure that he was considered seriously, even though he was younger than many of his rivals, if he is portraying Aristotle Dumas. Even though Flynn is currently 39, Aristotle has been in business long enough to amass billions of dollars and build a vast empire. However, there is an alternative to take into account in this situation. What if Aristotle died or quietly retired, leaving his son to inherit the country and carry on his name? Maybe when Billy Flynn makes his appearance, it will become clear that Aristotle is his father and that he has now replaced him. That would explain why Aristotle and Y and R's build-up to this major revelation is still so secretive. In any event, in the episode that airs on March 24, Aristotle's name will appear as a caller on Billy Abbott's phone. Keep checking back for updates on the negative news that's developing, since Victor may face difficulties as a result of Billy and Aristotle's collaboration. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Victor will make some predictions regarding bringing Aristotle out of hiding, but when that happens, he could be surprised. According to Monday, March 24 teasers on The Young and the Restless, Sally Spectra makes a discovery, Phyllis Summers has a breakdown, and Victor Newman will devise an Aristotle Dumas scheme. Billy Abbott will discuss Phyllis' difficulties with Sally at his house. Sally will surmise that saving someone's life creates a lifelong tie between you and them. Billy will make it plain that he prefers working and being friends with Phyllis, even though Sally may appear concerned about that. Victor will be reassured by Michael Baldwin at the athletic club that their Glissade spies are well established and unnoticed. Michael promises to provide additional details after Glissade is completely integrated at Jabbit. As the topic of discussion shifts to Aristotle Dumas, Michael will provide an update on his research. Michael will not think that Winters is the target of Aristotle or that his connection to Damian Kane is more than a coincidence. In the end, Victor will reveal his history of competition with Aristotle, who would disappear following their arguments and decline to fall for the ruse to reappear. Victor will worry about why Aristotle is resurfacing now, so Michael will be told to keep digging. According to Y and R spoilers, Victor will choose to take advantage of Devon and Lily Winters in order to find Aristotle. Sally will discover that someone has been attempting to contact Billy via his phone when she returns to his house. Sally will remark that the caller's name is Aristotle Dumas as she examines it. After her nightmare, Phyllis Summers will have a complete breakdown in her suite when Summer and Nick Newman insist on entering. Phyllis will vehemently protest that she needs assistance, but as she spirals out of her anguish, she will finally collapse in Nick's tender embrace. It will be difficult for Phyllis to forget the years of her rivalry with Sharon Newman, regardless of what transpired when she was in captivity. Nick will soon get inspired and text Sharon to invite her to the coffee shop. Sharon will speak with Daniel Romalotti Jr. at Society to make him wonder if she is truly getting over her animosity toward Phyllis following their horrific joint kidnapping. Although Sharon is unsure of how long she can maintain this détente with Phyllis, she will make some optimistic forecasts and attempt to patch things up with Daniel as well. Sharon will immediately go to Crimson Lights as soon as she learns Nick needs her there. When Sharon enters and sees Phyllis seated at a table with Nick and Summer, she will be perplexed. In order to get Sharon on board, Nick will encourage the women to discuss their experience and decide what to do next. Since only Sharon is aware of what they went through, Phyllis will essentially act as though it's worthwhile to try. When Tessa Porter sees Daniel at Society's bar, she will once more be his confidant and provide some advice following his chat with Sharon. Daniel will choose to talk to Maria Copeland and help her feel better because she will still be feeling bad over Ian Ward's scheme. Daniel intends to inform Maria how fortunate she is to have Tessa after expressing his gratitude for her support. We'll keep you updated on Daniel's upcoming surprise new plot on The Young and the Restless, according to spoilers. According to previews for The Young and the Restless, Jack Abbott might get a strange new ally. Let's think about their possible collaboration, since Aristotle Dumas might make a startling offer and leave Jack with a difficult choice to make. Other than being a significant corporate figure with a dubious side, not much is known about Aristotle. Aristotle has always maintained a low profile, which undoubtedly benefited him in any unethical economic dealings. Victor Newman will talk candidly with Michael Baldwin about his relationship with Aristotle throughout the week of March 24 to 28. Aristotle and Victor's past has not yet been made public by Y&R, but it may have been a tense commercial transaction or a rivalry that ended in fury. In any event, Victor will tell Michael a story that might include terrible news if it relates to establishing Aristotle's contempt for the patriarch of Newman. Aristotle might be the ideal partner for Jack in the future, since he may seek retribution. When Jack learns more about the spies Victor has placed at Abbott, he will be incensed. When it comes to ruining Jack's family business and causing him pain, Victor has no plans to back down. As this dispute intensifies, Jack will want to retaliate, but he shouldn't have to do it by himself. Aristotle Dumas' arrival might be the perfect chance to change the course of this battle between Abbott and Newman. Aristotle may eventually approach Jack with a spiteful offer. Aristotle may offer Jack an alliance, whether he contacts Jack directly or through a subordinate like Damian Kane. Jack might possibly have a chance to win if Aristotle is willing to unite against Victor. Nevertheless, it is obvious that Aristotle is unreliable. Jack will need to carefully consider his options and make some judgments about whether the risk is worth it, because he might come to regret choosing to side with Aristotle. In any case, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Victor may have additional difficulties in the future, so watch to see if Aristotle will team up with Jack. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of March 17 to 21 reveal that Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers will score freedom while Tracy Abbott faces horror. Billy Abbott and Nick Newman will also become heroes, so here's what Y&R fans can expect. As the walls close in on Phyllis and Sharon, they'll worry they may not make it out of their kidnapping ordeal alive. Sharon and Phyllis will get backed into a terrible corner and fear that losing the game will mean losing their lives. Thankfully, Phyllis and Sharon will have some help once Nick and Billy make it to Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic. Billy and Nick are next in line for some teamwork, so they should join forces to ensure Sharon and Phyllis make it out safely. Once Nick and Billy pull off this rescue, they'll no doubt earn Phyllis and Sharon's gratitude. You can bet Sharon will leap into Nick's arms for a comforting embrace, and Phyllis may do the same with Billy once he comes through for her. Of course, it's possible some unexpected kisses could play out depending on how far Y&R wants to take these close moments. Could Sharon pull Nick into a kiss while Phyllis plants a smooch on Billy? We wouldn't blame Phyllis and Sharon for getting carried away after the captivity chaos they just endured. However, there'll at least be some hugs and some sighs of relief. Phyllis and Sharon will eventually reunite with the rest of their loved ones as well, so they'll all be glad once this abduction drama wraps up. Meanwhile, Martin Laurent seems poised to get busted as the mastermind of Sharon and Phyllis kidnapping mayhem. That means Martin should also get exposed for posing as his twin brother, Alan Laurent. Tracy will face some horror and heartbreak once she realizes Alan is actually Martin, who survived his tumble in Paris and took over Alan's life once again. After Tracy gets updates on this alarming news, she'll definitely need her family's support. As for Claire Newman, she may hope Summer Newman will back off Kyle Abbott once Phyllis is rescued. Claire might think Kyle can enforce stricter boundaries once he doesn't have to take pity on his ex. Unfortunately, Summer may not be done plotting against Kyle and Claire's romance just yet. There may be other strategies Summer uses to cross the line, at least until Kyle's willing to put his foot down and say enough is enough. Whatever the case, Claire may make some positive predictions about where things are headed with Kyle, but more obstacles could be looming thanks to Summer. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the week of March 17 to 21 will bring some big curveballs, so stay tuned. The Young and the Restless recap for March 24 reveals that Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers will be rescued from toxic gas while Tracy Abbott peeks at Alan Laurent aka Martin Laurent's phone. In captivity, Phyllis and Sharon will enjoy the catharsis of totally trashing the place. Sharon and Phyllis will also find the camera that's been monitoring them, so they'll shut it off and await the kidnapper's arrival. Phyllis and Sharon will arm themselves by the door, but then a message will come in on one of the burner phones. It'll express disapproval over Sharon and Phyllis' unsportsmanlike behavior before insisting that they've lost the game. Soon after, toxic gas will be pumped in the room, so Phyllis will find the source of the leak and frantically try to shut it off. Phyllis won't be successful and will be on the verge of passing out as the rescue team closes in. Outside Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic, Chance Chancellor will stop Billy Abbott and Nick Newman from breaking in since he'll want to wait for the landlord. Once the landlord arrives on Friday's Y&R episode, he'll insist there's been no interest in the place and that it's been abandoned for years. However, the landlord's key won't work, so he'll realize somebody must have changed the lock. After Chance finally gets the lock open, he'll head in first with some officers. Billy and Nick won't be far behind, so they'll all find one locked room and realize that's where Phyllis and Sharon are likely being held. Sharon will hear Nick's voice and call out to him, so he'll break the door down and cradle her in his arms. Billy will also hold Phyllis as she tries to stay conscious due to the gas that's still leaking. Some imps will check Phyllis and Sharon out off-screen, so they'll be cleared to go home. However, Sharon and Phyllis will end up recapping their whole ordeal to Nick, Billy and Chance at the Newman Ranch. There will be concerns about the sick individual behind this twisted game still being on the loose. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers' cheating countdown may be on. Is Sally Spectra doomed to face the familiar sting of betrayal? Y&R fans will recall how Adam took Chelsea Lawson to bed in Baltimore and tried to gaslight Sally in the aftermath. Sally could tell something was off and repeatedly pushed Adam to confess that he slept with Chelsea. Unfortunately, Adam lied to Sally instead and worked to convince her that she had it all wrong. Of course, that plan didn't work out very well since the truth came out anyway, and now Adam is back together with Chelsea while Sally's moving on with Billy. Although Sally kept her guard up with Billy in the beginning, it feels like she's falling pretty hard for him now. Sally could no doubt see a bright future together, but will Billy's growing bond with Phyllis get in the way? Billy's concern for Phyllis was evident during the kidnapping storyline, so Sally could see for herself how much he still cares about her. Now that Phyllis is free and ready to jump into work at Abbott Communications, there will be more opportunities for Billy to connect with her. In fact, one of those opportunities comes in the March 17 episode when Billy asks Phyllis to forgive him for thinking the worst of her and leaving her off the press release. Phyllis does forgive Billy and hugs him for saving her life, so some close moments are happening for these exes. Phyllis' abduction saga could serve as a turning point in her relationship with Billy, especially since she hasn't forgotten about that romantic dream she had before she was snatched. Between that dream and Billy playing the hero recently, Phyllis has great reasons to latch onto her former flame as a life raft right now. After the way things have spiraled out of control for Phyllis lately, she'll be drawn to Billy's comfort and will view him as something familiar she can cling to. The more time Billy and Phyllis spend together working on Abbott Communications, the closer they're going to get. Will that mean bad news for Sally in the end? Will Billy cheat on Sally and leave her feeling deeply betrayed? Billy might hit the sheets with Phyllis or at least share a kiss with her. Sally may face déjà vu as she once again finds herself becoming the odd woman out while her man cheats with an ex. In other words, Billy's actions could serve as a big reminder of what Adam did and leave Sally struggling with more heartbreak. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Billy may have a hard time keeping any promises and predictions he makes to Sally, so stay tuned for updates on any romantic setbacks.